Welcome back. We've come over to the Sky Pad with Tom Collins to have a look back at the Prix du Jockey Club. Loads to pick out from this.
Yes.
So much, in fact, that we're going to start right from the top. Just to remind people, the eventual winner, Camille Pissarro, was drawn right there in stall 1. The eventual runner-up for Godolphin was all the way over here. So let's pick it up. We'll just see early on where jockeys find themselves in the early stages of the race. I'm just going to pause it for a second there and just remind ourselves who we've got where. Camille Pissarro, the winner there. Will Buick already starting to think about making his way over this way, trying to get in at that stage, and let's just see what happens as the race starts to unfold. No great drama early on. Oh, one thing to pick up, probably, that's Trinity College. Fair to say we expected to see him there.
Yeah, front runner in the race, pacemaker, if you will.
Wasn't really expecting to see this horse here. Now, this is Beaumark, and worth highlighting because have a look at the horse's head carriage there, and that suggests to me this wasn't necessarily the plan. He's bowling along. Yeah,
when you go back to his run at Newcastle, Beaumark, he was held up and came with a big late run. Here, way too headstrong, out in front. This is kind of race over already. It was a big advantage to be forwardly placed in this race, but not for Beaumark today.
OK, another horse that we want to highlight. There's a few horses we wanted to highlight here. One horse that I know you have your eye on is in the Wertheimer colours, your horse Sinlair. We'll come back to him, but let's just recap again where the eventual key horses are. There's our winner.
Yep.
There's our second horse over here. There's our third horse there. They're all really prominent. Even the fourth horse is bang there as well. So actually, the first 4 home are all right here.
In literally the first 5 positions here, we have the first 4 and Beaumark, who was too keen early.
Which makes it worth spotting this horse out here in the Arga cast. We've gone black and white for some reason. Oh, that's because I've put that close-up on. That was my fault. Here, Azimpor, who's way, way out of his ground compared to those other market principles. Just make a little mental note of that because we're going to follow it through now and see how the race continues to pan out. Things continuing to be pretty testing on board Beaumark there, who's maybe settled a little bit, but still not enough.
Yeah, it's already race over. He's already exuded way too much energy up top. But this is now the look that Ryan Moore's got. If we could pause it here for a second, Sean.
Sure.
Look how far you can see these front 2, Beaumark and Trinity College out in front, and you have a big gap to the remainder of the field. But that allows some room in front of Ryan Moore, who's drawn gate 1. He now has the option to travel into the race and really just produce Camille Pissarro when he wants.
Yes. It's interesting, though, that it's also possibly helped out Will Buick, who's got plenty of daylight. He's able to get in and get right to the rail, which he probably didn't think he'd be able to do so soon.
No, exactly. And Will finds himself in a great spot and gave the horse every chance. To be fair, they go very close at the line. Same with Detain, actually. He's got a lovely spot alongside Camille Pissarro.
Again, just to remind ourselves, that's Azimpor. I just keep throwing that in there just to see where he finishes.
And also Sinalea, this is the part where he starts to really struggle. I don't know whether it was because on the debut he basically got out in front and was able to dictate.
That's Sinalea there. That's where he is on the bend. He's already lost, what, 2 lengths on Camille Pissarro. He broke alongside Camille Pissarro and was with him early on.
I don't think he really handled the big field and being congested between horses because, as you can see around the turn here, Maxime Guillon is starting to niggle away and trying to get this horse into stride because Sinalea seemingly has kind of got into a position in the race where he's thinking, I have no idea what to do now. Maybe it was inexperience, maybe it was the fact he was boxed in.
Second run.
Exactly.
Very different to his maiden win. As we turn in, remarkably, and again we'll just slow this down, still here at this stage is Beaumark. Let's just remind ourselves where Ryan Moore is. He's in there. Oh, just see that stripe cap there. He's in there and he's waiting for a gap to come, which is either going to come through here, otherwise he's going to have to come back and go round. But either way is not ideal. He's riding, waiting for a posse.
And such is the mind of a top-class jockey. He'll already be thinking, when is Beaumark going to fall back? What's Trinity College doing directly in front of me? When can I make that move? And he is now about to dart into the gap.
I think between he half thinks about that gap.
But he can see that William Buick here on Qualificateur is travelling pretty well.
Yeah, we'll keep him in.
So that is game over.
He's going to go in a straight line, isn't he? You're not getting through there.
Yeah.
So switches back to the inside, waits. We'll have a proper look at this on the head-on. Let's just remind ourselves again that we've got all the front horses are bang here. But already making his move now in behind is this horse, Azimpor, who's got closer to his the other Aga Khan horse. But when you think where he was, he's come from way back here to get up into that position by switching to the inside.
Yeah, tried to save some ground. Unfortunately for Azimpor, it does kind of open up inside for him, but the leaders are beyond recall at this stage. But he does stay on really well, following Camille Pissarro into that spot. Ryan, just there, you saw, made that killer move to the inside and won the race. But if we looked at the finishing positions here, we've got forwardly placed, forwardly placed, forwardly placed, forwardly placed, forwardly placed, closer.
Yes.
Only horse to make up
the only closer, really. Just remind yourself where Beaumark has ended up, way back there, and that shows you those early exertions cost him very, very dear.
Sinalea here, only beaten maybe 3-4 lengths, probably 4 lengths at the line. Considering the trouble he had in the run and the fact that he didn't seem to like being boxed in, I thought he shaped very well.
And was finishing his race, to be fair.
Exactly, finished off nicely. I think he might be overlooked next time up. People thinking, well, he didn't travel nicely, he didn't really perform as expectation. I think next time we might see a form reversal if he faces any of those top 4 or 5.
OK, just in case you missed it early on, and because it's so mouth-watering, we're going to show it to you one more time. This is the overhead drone shot, which is the best way of savouring what Ryan Moore did in the closing stages of this race. We'll see the angle switch in a moment. The point that you were making earlier is that it's all about anticipating, isn't it?
Yes.
If you just slow it down there, he's just starting to look for a gap at this stage, Ryan Moore. And as I said, I think that gap goes through his mind, but then this gap emerges, but it's only there for a split second. Here it comes now.
Yeah, it's not necessarily whether Beaumark is going to fall back, but also how can he get into that gap just at the right time to then take advantage of the rail? Because Wayne Lorden on Trinity College right now thinks he could win the race. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He starts to edge towards the rail.
That gap actually gets smaller now, doesn't it?
Very small. But Ryan just produced the horse at enough at the right time that enough of the horse is in the gap so he can then take advantage. If he went one stride later, that gap would be shut off enough.
Might have just got his head, but
exactly.
Got his nose snapped off, wouldn't he? But gets through and wins quite nicely. It would have been a bit of a travesty if he hadn't won. Just look at the ground, though, that this horse makes up again. Right on the tail of the winner by the time they're going past the line. That's
even on the gallop
impressive.
out there, he's making up ground. So I think Azimpor is another one that you definitely need to put in.
I was singing the praises of France Gallo earlier about how quickly they get their tracking reports up. They're all up, except this race. Something must have gone wrong, but I'm sure it will be up in time. But I think that's going to be really interesting. The speed that Azimpor has finished his race, I think, will be really...
His sectional will be eye-catching, I'm pretty sure.
Good stuff. Thanks to Tom there. Good look back, and well done to Ryan Moore. I know he gets a lot of praise, and all winning rides are good rides, etc., but that was a bit of a peach.